Hi everybody, TJ Mack Vintage Cards and Nostalgia here, and today I'm excited to show an item that I've been wanting to acquire for a while. As you can see, I have several cards from the 1961 Topps baseball set before me. Now, I don't claim to speak for all collectors, as I know there are many reasons why we collect. But I read something recently by famed author Doris Kearns Goodwin that captures the nostalgia I feel when I acquire items for my collection. She wrote that the game of baseball has always been linked in my mind with the mystic texture of childhood, with the sounds and smells of summer nights, and with the memories of my father. Now, the cards in my collection are a reflection of the connection to my grandfather, then to my father, and then later my father-in-law, and now to my children. These collective experiences as passionate fans of this great game have transcended generations, and they manifest themselves through these photographs of our heroes on cardboard. Now, these important men in my life grew up in an era when baseball heroes became larger than life. My grandfather followed Ruth and Gehrig, my father-in-law, Greenberg, Feller, and Ted Williams, and my dad, Mantle, Colavito, and Kaline. Now, before Babe Ruth, baseball's best player was Ty Cobb. And Cobb, he was calculating and a scientific ball player. He knew the angles to take on the base path, where to hit the ball in a safe spot, and the perfect time to place a bunt. But with the rise of Babe Ruth, the game was forever changed, and also was how we look at our sports heroes. Our heroes became romanticized figures that were larger than life. With one swing, Ruth could captivate the crowd and capture their imagination. From then on, fans became hooked on this exciting aspect of the game, where the fortunes of a team could change on one powerful swing of the bat. Now, in 1961, the home run became part of the national consciousness, and it really was captivating the nation. Now, the magazine I have here today is my latest acquisition, and it really captures the historic season better than any other. It's the August 14th, 1961 edition of Newsweek, which is not a sports publication, but rather a hard news magazine. The famed Mantle Maris quest of the baseball god known as the Bambino was reaching a boiling point in August 1961 when this issue was released. On the cover you see home run year, target 60. Then you have this beautiful illustration here by Bob Engel. And this image of Mantle reminds me of the ancient Greek wall art depicting their gods. Now, the Greeks would idealize the human form, just like you see here with Mantle, who would be our modern-day Hermes, the Greek god of athletics. Here you see his bulging biceps and the massive neck that is almost as wide as his head. Now, the cover, if you look closely, even has a textured appearance like an ancient wall. Or at least I like to think it does. Now, this magazine is just wonderful. It's one of the nicest examples I've seen at a price I was willing to pay. Now, I thought it may have been a newsstand issue at first because I didn't see a mailing label or the residue from the glue that would affix the label. But upon arrival, I could see up close that there's a little bit of light residue on the side there. Regardless, this copy is in beautiful condition and very collectible, and it's going to make a fantastic display in my room with my other magazines. Now, I've also enjoyed reading the article by the famous sports writer Dick Schaap on the home run race because it offered a contemporary view at the time versus a historical one that we see in books, documentaries, and of course the Billy Crystal movie 61. Now, at the time this issue was released, Mickey Mantle was leading with 43 home runs to Roger Maris's 41. Now I want to quickly share a few things I learned from this article. Now at this time, there was much talk about what was going on in the league, and the article spoke to how pitchers were complaining about live balls and the shrinking strike zone. And of course, the American League expanded to 162 games a season, while the National League remained at 154, because the National League had not yet expanded. Cepeda led the National League that year with 46 home runs. Now, the article said that Mantle doesn't talk much, which to me paints a very different image than what we saw in the movie 61. Maris even told the media that him and Mantle are roommates, and he doesn't even talk much in the apartment that they share. Now, Maris was viewed as outspoken, and it mentioned in the article that Mantle agreed with Commissioner Ford Frick that the record should be broken in 154 games, saying that it was only right, where Maris thought it should have been done in 162. Again, that's a little different than the movie 61. In that movie, Mantle was complaining about the asterisk, not so much the number of games. Now, the article also spoke of Mantle and DiMaggio's relationship, and how Mantle, as a rookie, would stand by DiMaggio's locker, hoping for words of encouragement. But the Yankee Clipper offered none. He was hurt and vowed that if he ever became a star, he would become friendly to rookies. And at the time of this article, it said that Mickey Mantle was the friendliest of all Yankees to rookies. Though we know of the Mantle-DiMaggio relationship now, I was very surprised that it was written in this article back at that time, and I wonder how much controversy that caused. Now in the article, Harmon Killebrew, Jim Bunning, and Pedro Ramos said that Mantle would break the record, and Camilo Pascual said that Maris has a home run stroke and he's going to be the one that does it. Now this was really just a fascinating glimpse into the race, and I am just absolutely thrilled with this new addition to my collection. I love Mantle pieces from the late 50s into about 1963, 1964, because that was really when he was at the height of his popularity. And the 61 season just took him to a completely different level, as the fans in New York really rallied around him to break the record. Now what's also cool is that I showed this magazine to my son and my oldest son and my wife, and they both like this piece because of the connection. You see, my dad was 13 years old in 1961, and likely at the peak of his hero worship of Mantle and the Yankees. And I just love knowing I have these cards and this magazine to remember this historic season by, and also my dad, who was one of the biggest influences on my enjoyment of baseball and this great hobby. That's all for now. Everybody have a great weekend, and we'll talk again soon.